This Civic Media podcast is sponsored by UW Organ and Tissue Donation. Organ donations are desperately needed, and now is the right time to become an organ donor. Talk to your family. Get the dot. Save lives. Go to heroicdeed.com.
This is your WXCO Daily News Roundup for Bull Falls Radio, 98.9 FM and 1230 AM in Wausau.
For WXCO News, I'm Brittany Merlot. Today is Veterans Day, and in the homeless population of Wisconsin, veterans outnumber regular citizens proportionally.
Of course, we have the largest population that's going to have PTSD issues, right? More than any other organization. That goes along with that, you're going to have a connection of substance abuse to deal with those PTSD issues if they're not getting help. So that's a secondary to that.
Tim Cody is a full-time volunteer with the Fox Valley Veterans Council. And in young voters under 30 years old, there was a significant change in statistics. Exit polling shows Vice President Kamala Harris won young voters in Wisconsin 53 to 45% against President-elect Donald Trump. That's a drop from a much wider margin in the 2020 election. Joe Biden won that group 59 to 36%. In past years, experts say young voters have leaned more liberal, but it was not as big of a gap this year in Wisconsin as it has always been. And less than 24 hours after Donald Trump was elected the 47th president of the United States, social media users began pushing two conflicting narratives of election fraud. In a narrative being pushed by Trump supporters, the vote total in 2020, which is much higher than 2016 and 2024, is used to suggest the votes must have been manufactured when Biden won. Harris supporters question how her numbers can be so much lower, but both narratives are unfounded. And Wisconsin Democrat U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin pledged to work with President-elect Donald Trump when possible, but also vowed to fight him to protect the national health care law and abortion rights. Baldwin narrowly won re-election to third term over Republican businessman Eric Hovde. Hovde has yet to concede in a race where the margin is so close he could seek a recount. Baldwin said she recognized that Trump won Wisconsin and she would work with him when she can. And the Fox Valley Veterans Council in Appleton provides emergency funding for basic needs for veterans to help them remain in their homes and get help they need.
Because let's face it, let's say you have PTSD, but if you're getting ready to get thrown out of your house, you think you're going to your VA appointment? No. You're worried about trying to find a roof over your house.
Tim Cody is a full-time volunteer with the Fox Valley Veterans Council. And one thing that was not a top headline for this election was our national park system, and conservationists wish it got more attention. Here's Savannah Tomey-Olson with more.
The National Parks Action Fund scorecard tallies the voting records for U.S. House members on bills about park funding, endangered species, and oil and gas development in and around parks. In Wisconsin's delegation, all 6 Republican House members got failing grades on the scorecard, and the 2 Democrats got A's. Kristen Brangle with the National Parks Action Fund says they're not trying to pick on members of Congress, but they hope the scrutiny will help change some votes moving forward.
This is just part of our value system. Do we love these places? Do we want to take care of them? Do we want to make sure they have adequate park rangers in them? And this vote is just a direct way to tell whether or not your member of Congress cares about the future of our national parks.
Overall, Brangle says more House members got F's than A's because last year the House voted to cut funding for national parks by 13%.
And gas prices continue to fall, dropping 3.5 cents over the past week. The average across the state today is $2.81 per gallon. Officials at Gas Buddy say that the average in the U.S. is the lowest since 2021. Prices have been dropping for 4 consecutive weeks as seasonal demand weakens. Elections have come and gone, but gas prices have stayed the course. Officials say prices could continue to drop as we get closer to Thanksgiving. PTSD, suicide, mental health, all of these are issues facing the veteran population on this Veterans Day. Tim Cody with the Fox Valley Veterans Council said homelessness is also a primary concern.
We find them hopefully before they're homeless, as our real goal is to try to keep them in their place for 2 to 3 months so that they can straighten their life out, get a direction to go, and keep them where they are.
Cody said statistically, in Wisconsin, there are more homeless veterans than regular citizens. And about 73% of Wisconsin's voting age population casted their ballots in the 2024 presidential race. with the raw number of voters topping out at the highest in state history. Nearly 3.4 million people in Wisconsin cast their ballots in the presidential race won by President-elect Donald Trump on Wednesday. Wisconsin has a voting age population of just under 4.7 million people. And Senator Tammy Baldwin gave her victory speech last week in a rare split-ticket race, where she won the state as a Democrat and a Republican president won too. She pledged to work with him in Washington.
We deserve a politics with less vitriol, less division, less hatred, and fewer lies. Actually, no lies. Because it's time that we come together and tackle the problems that are actually facing working people and communities across our state. It's time that we put the politics of division behind us.
Baldwin defeated bank owner and Republican Eric Hovde by only 29,000 votes, and Trump beat Kamala Harris by the same margin here. And We Energy customers will see their monthly bills rise about $20 over the next 2 years. The utility company cites the need to finance its transition to green energy as the primary reason for the rate hikes, which represents the 9th increase in 13 years. Each year on Veterans Day, the nation unites to honor the brave men and women who have selflessly served their country. Aspirus Health has paired up with veterans' homes all across the Midwest to support the health and the well-being of those who served. Aspirus Lakeview President Greg Ruberg.
Our veterans have sacrificed a lot. They sacrificed, time away from their families, sometimes their life in terms of fighting for our country. And our thought process is it's one small gesture that we can do to show our appreciation for what they've given to our country.
Aspirus Health also offers veterans nationally recognized comfort and hospice care through the We Honor Veterans program. And eligible veterans can receive urgent care and walk-in clinics that are fully covered in Upper Michigan and parts of Wisconsin.
I think it's very fulfilling for our staff to be a part of that. I know our rehab staff feel the same way, that these individuals have given a lot of their life to our country, and it's just a small gesture of us giving something back to them.
And 40-year-old Jesse Vang has been ordered to stand trial on new charges related to the disappearance and death of 3-year-old Elijah Vu. Vang had a preliminary hearing in Manitowoc County Court Wednesday. And a bomb cyclone is a low-pressure system that quickly gets very powerful. That was the type of storm that hit the Northland on November 10th in 1975. It's the historic storm that sank the SS Edmund Fitzgerald in 25-foot waves created by 50-knot hurricane-force winds. Now, 49 years after the tragedy, a few people are trying to get a Wisconsin historical marker to commemorate the Fitz leaving from Superior, her last port of call. A plaque like this costs $8,000 and will be put up on Barker's Island, not far from the Superior entry the Fitzgerald left on that fateful day. 2025 will be the year of the Fitz in Superior, and the marker will be up by the 50th anniversary. I'm Brittany Merlot for WXCO.
Jaylen Brown calls Giannis a child. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Bucks lost to the Boston Celtics 113-107. In the second quarter, Giannis Antetokounmpo went over to the Celtics' Jaylen Brown, extending his hand for a handshake, then pulled it away to run his fingers through his hair. After the game, Brown was asked in the Celtics locker room about the fake handshake.
Giannis is a child. I'm just focused on helping my team get a win.
Giannis says he was just having some fun.
It's a joke. We're playing basketball. It's something that I do to my kids. Play around, sometimes I'm like, give me a high five. Hope you're too slow. I just did it. It was fun. He took offense to it. What do you say?
He was asked about it after the game, and he said, Giannis is a child.
If I'm called a child, so be it.
The Bucks are now 2-8. They host the Toronto Raptors tomorrow night. College hoops, the Wisconsin Badgers rolled over Appalachian State 87-56 at the Kohl Center. The Badgers now 3-0 on the season. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwabo. 2 men have been arrested in connection with the death of former One Direction member Liam Payne. Payne fell from the balcony of a hotel in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and an autopsy revealed multiple drugs in his system. The Hollywood Reporter says a hotel staff member and local drug dealer were taken into custody. Both men are being accused of supplying Payne with the drugs found in his system. The incident happened on October 16th. Ready for another video game turned TV show? Variety reports that Amazon is developing Mass Effect, which is based on the video game which first launched in 2007. The game was a hit from the get-go and became a series that launched 3 more games. Fast and Furious 9 writer-producer Daniel Casey is developing and will executive produce the series. I wonder if anyone owns the rights to Pong. Gladiator 2 is just a couple weeks away from hitting theaters. According to director Ridley Scott, Joaquin Phoenix almost quit the first Gladiator. The 86-year-old director says Phoenix got cold feet and told Scott he had to leave the project. It took a Gladiator-type effort from fellow castmate Russell Crowe, who told Phoenix he was being terribly unprofessional. At the end of the day, it was Scott who talked the actor into staying on the film. Gladiator 2 does not have Joaquin Phoenix or Russell Crowe, but is directed by Scott and opens November 22nd. The 6th Pirates of the Caribbean film is in development. Good Lord. Producer Jerry Bruckheimer says production on the film will start in late 2025, but the cast has not yet been assembled. Johnny Depp is a maybe, but Keira Knightley says that she will not take part unless it's the final film of the franchise. Fingers crossed. The film does not have a title yet. If you're a Star Wars fan, prepare to go into a lather. There is a new trilogy in the works from Lucasfilm. Writer-producer Simon Kinberg will write, produce, and develop the 3 new Star Wars films. It's been 5 years since we saw The Rise of Skywalker, which was the most recent Star Wars film in theaters. Since then, Lucasfilm brought us 3 shows in the Mandalorian world, including The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka, and the upcoming Skeleton Crew. They also launched shows The Acolyte, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Andor. Simon Kinberg is known for his writing and producing skills for several X-Men films and 2016's Deadpool. Variety reports the new trilogy is in the early stages of development, so there are no story details just yet. There has also been no announcement on when production might start. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Breezy this morning, but the wind will gradually die down here by later this afternoon, and we will become mostly sunny today. Our high 43. Tonight, mostly clear 25. Tomorrow, sunshine 46. Wednesday, scattered rain with a high in the upper 40s. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Right now, it's 39.
That's your WXCO Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at bullfallsradio.com. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.